were told from day one that marriage is, all about combining your lives.
Right, to becoming one.
Exactly. But according to the financial data we're looking at today, merging your money on your exact wedding day might actually be the fastest way to ruin your relationship.
It really is. I mean, it's a huge shock to the system.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are opening up a really comprehensive guide called Combining Finances After Marriage.
And our mission for you today is to extract the exact strategies, the timings, and the systems that real couples use to merge their money without tearing their hair out in the process.
Because, let's face it, money is a leading driver of conflict. But why should you really care about getting this right?
Well, if you ignore financial planning after the wedding, you basically default into this state of stress and secrecy. It's inevitable.
Yeah, the friction just builds up in the background.
Exactly. But if you get it right, you build this profound level of trust. You reduce misunderstandings, and you hit your shared goals so much faster.
So let's get into it. Because before a couple can even figure out how to combine their money, they have to figure out when to do it.
The timeline is everything.
Right. And rushing that timeline is the first major stumbling block the guide points out. Because the instinct is just, hey, we're married, let's smash all the accounts together tomorrow morning.
Which is a terrible idea for most people. The text actually explores 3 distinct timelines for merging, and the first option is that immediate merge.
Right after the wedding.
Right, but it only works if you have similar habits, intense trust, and highly stable, totally transparent incomes. If there's any volatility, an immediate merge is just a systemic shock.
Okay, let's unpack this, because merging finances immediately without talking is like merging onto a busy highway with your eyes closed.
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right. If your speeds, like your income and your driving styles, meaning your spending habits, if they don't match up, there's going to be a crash.
What's fascinating here is how the source frames the second option, which is a transition period. Basically, waiting 3 to 6 months before fully merging.
Wait, so you're married, but you just hold off for half a year?
Yeah, and it's not about a lack of trust at all. It's an observation phase.
Like data gathering.
Exactly. You're data gathering on your new shared life, you're learning each other's habits, adjusting to shared bills, and just building a routine for talking about money.
That makes a lot of sense. You're watching how they operate in the wild before you tie your life rafts together.
Precisely. And then there's the third option, which is never fully merging, which is basically a hybrid approach right out of the gate.
Never fully merging. That sounds intense.
Well, it's actually highly practical. It's ideal for partners who have, significantly different income levels or big previous financial obligations.
Like heavy student loans or child support.
Right. Or just for people who really, really value their independence. The text emphasizes over and over that there is no correct timing. There's only what works for you.
So once you've agreed on the timing, whether it's day 1 or day 100, you hit the next hurdle, the actual plumbing.
The architecture of the accounts?
Right. You can't merge effectively without choosing the right system. But before you even open a browser to look at banks, the guide says there's a prerequisite.
A very uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah, honest conversations have to happen first. You have to lay it all out. Income, debts, monthly expenses, savings.
And especially financial fears and habits. Transparency is the absolute foundation here. If you're hiding a credit card bill, no banking system will save you.
Exactly. So assuming you survive that audit, the text breaks down 3 main banking systems. The first is the joint account system.
Where all income goes into one shared account, it's maximum financial unity.
But also maximum surveillance. Every coffee you buy is right there on the shared ledger.
Yeah, which brings us to the second option, the separate account system. Independent accounts where partners just simply split the bills.
Wait, I have to push back on this one. If you just keep everything totally separate and only split bills, aren't you just acting like married roommates?
A lot of people feel that way.
I mean, doesn't that defeat the purpose of a financial partnership? Where's the teamwork if you're Venmoing each other for half a pizza?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the source explicitly notes the human need for independence, even in a marriage.
So it's about autonomy.
Yes, even in joint systems, allowing personal freedom like having money for private hobbies actually reduces conflict. You're not fighting over that pizza charge.
Okay, I can see that. But it still feels a little cold.
Which is why the third system, the hybrid system, is by far the most popular approach today.
Right, the middle ground.
Exactly. A joint account is used for the shared household expenses. Rent, utilities, groceries.
So you both fund that joint account, like a team.
Yep. But then you maintain your own separate accounts for personal spending. So you get the teamwork for the shared life, but total individual freedom for your own hobbies.
I love that. It really is the best of both worlds. You're not fighting about a vintage guitar you bought because it came out of your personal account.
Exactly. It balances the need for unity with the need for freedom.
But setting up those accounts is just building the empty structure. To make the system actually work, you have to decide how the money flows through it every month.
Right. Which brings us to the mechanics: budgets, goals, and defense.
Let's talk about budgets first. The source is pretty strict about this. You have to create a monthly budget together.
Yeah, it has to include the big stuff: rent, mortgage, groceries, and the text strongly recommends using budgeting apps or spreadsheets to track this. Don't just do it in your head.
Because mental math in a marriage never works out. But a budget without a purpose is just a diet. And nobody likes a diet.
Which is why defining financial goals is the next crucial step. The goals give the budget purpose.
Like saving for a house or a big trip.
Yeah, short and long-term goals. The guide mentions travel plans, starting a business, or aggressive retirement savings. Hitting those together strengthens your unity.
So what does this all mean? Think of it this way. The budget is your map. The shared goals are your destination.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
And the third piece, the emergency fund, is the relationship's shock absorber. Experts say you need at least 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up.
Minimum, to protect against job loss or medical emergencies.
Right, because without that shock absorber, the first pothole you hit, like a sudden medical bill, could literally break the axle of the marriage.
It creates so much ambient stress. You start snapping at each other over the ditches, but really you're terrified about the car repair bill.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you, the listener, to think about your own situation for a second. Are you actually aligned with your partner on your destination?
That's a huge question.
Right. Like, do you want to travel the world right now, but they want to save every penny to start a business?
If your goals are moving in opposite directions, no budgeting app in the world can fix that.
The math just becomes a weapon at that point.
Oh,
But let's say you have the perfect accounts, a flawless budget, and a fully funded shock absorber.
human nature can still ruin it.
Oh, completely. Which leads us to the psychological traps. What are the most common financial mistakes newlyweds make?
The big ones are mostly behavioral: hiding debt or hiding income.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah, or avoiding money discussions entirely because it feels awkward. Also, overspending early in the marriage and just failing to set a budget at all.
And to counter all of this, the source states this incredibly powerful golden rule. It says, financial honesty is more important than financial perfection.
That line is so crucial.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We always think we have to fix our messy finances before we merge. We want to look good, right?
Of course, nobody wants to admit they have credit card debt from buying takeout.
Exactly. So we hide it. But the guide is saying the exact opposite. Drop the facade. Just be honest about the mess.
Because avoiding money talks leads directly to secrecy.
Yeah.
And secrecy destroys trust.
So how do couples actually fix this ongoing communication problem?
The source has a very practical ongoing fix. Successful couples schedule monthly financial check-ins.
Like a literal meeting on the calendar.
Yep. Every single month, you sit down, discuss spending habits, make budget adjustments, and check in on those shared goals.
I can see how that takes the emotion out of it.
It completely removes the emotional weight. Bringing up money out of nowhere feels like an ambush.
Right. If you ask about a charge on a random Tuesday night, it's a fight.
But if it's a scheduled meeting, it just becomes a routine part of household management. It's just an agenda item.
That is such a smart hack. So as we wrap this up, the ultimate takeaway here is that whether you choose joint accounts, separate accounts, or that hybrid system,
The goal isn't just merging bank accounts.
right, it's building trust. It's building shared responsibility. The best financial system is simply the one that supports your relationship rather than complicating it.
It really is that simple.
But before we go, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, something that builds on this whole theme of financial transparency.
And it's a heavy one. If money is ultimately just a numerical representation of our deeply held values, our priorities, and our fears.
What does a completely hidden financial life say about the level of true vulnerability in a relationship?
Exactly. Can a couple ever achieve true, deep intimacy if they are terrified to show each other their bank statements?
It's a profound question, something to really think about the next time you log into your banking app. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.